But because I love you all so much, I had to put on a show. So we have some things to talk about on this wild card Wednesday. Yes, I know you're tired of talking about Mike and the Dallas Cowboys, but we cannot leave them off the table because we gotta call a spade when we see one. Shedeur is making some moves. Are they the right ones that we are expecting over there in Cleveland? And you know who I haven't heard a lot about? Cam Ward. We're going to talk a little bit more about what he has going on over there in Tennessee and so much more. Like I said, this is Wild Card Wednesday, and welcome back to the Daily Dose with Des. I can't wait to get started right after this. Admit it. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it loud. Got you feeling so proud. This is how we do it now. Daily Dose with Des. Got you coming back for more. Yeah, I love that. I love the intro. I feel like it's so cute. It's so me. It's just so all those things. Okay, so I'm sitting on the floor. I'm sitting on the floor in a room because I know that I'm supposed to be on here daily, and I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna get better. I vow to be better during football season. I'm gonna just get on here no matter what, right? So boom. I know it's early in the day too. It's like people are like, oh, probably like, I'm at work. Just don't worry, you can watch it later. But I just have to get these shows in when I can. I try to do a schedule, and sometimes I meet the schedule, sometimes I don't. Okay, and today is one of those days where I don't even think it was planned. I just did it. Okay, wild card. But let's get into the show. So, like I said, I know you guys are so tired of talking about Micah and the Dallas Cowboys, but we have to talk about it because anytime the Cowboys are on the card or on thread, we got to talk about it, right? So as you guys know, in my previous shows, I talked about how the Dallas Cowboys have not signed Micah to a new deal yet. And what I was saying was they were going to have to make him the highest non-paid quarterback position. Right now, TJ Watt of the Pittsburgh Steelers is holding that spot. And of course, same position, same type of quality defensive player. Are they the same position? But really, essentially, they're going to have to make him that spot because, one, they took so long with the contract, and two, it's like, we're not letting up, okay? We're not giving you a discount on the deal. We're not taking no for an answer. Like, this is what we want to do. And the Cowboys organization is just pretty much dragging their feet. Like, what are you doing? If you needed a key player more than anyone, it is him. You can tell the difference of the defense when he's playing and when he's not there. Same when Trayvon Diggs is not playing as well. Like, you can just tell the differences with that defense. And over the course of the few years, they have really made themselves become a really, defensive identity team. Now, they do have some weapons on offense, on paper. The Dallas Cowboys on paper for quite some years now should have been high contenders to at least make it far into the playoffs, right? And they just haven't been getting to that point. And I'm not going to keep being a dead horse because these are things that we already know. But for this, it's like ever since Michael came out and requested the trade, which I wish I would have said that on my last video because I was thinking that to myself, but I was like, no, he really wants to be there. And of course, like, he wants to be there, but now it's like my back's against the wall. I'm not participating. You guys are not coming to the table. And like, what else do you want me to do? I've done all that I was supposed to do, all that I'm required to do. And since he has requested that trade, he has not had no conversation with Jerry Jones. I don't think that's a surprise there, though. You piss off the big dog, he not gonna talk to you. That's just that, right? And there's just this attitude that's like, we're not trading him. So then it's like, well, what does he do? In this situation, what does he do? You have my back against the wall. You don't want to talk a new deal. You don't want to trade me. And it's nothing worse than a player being somewhere where he don't want to be. If you don't want to be here, I really don't want you here. Like, if I'm thinking about it from coach's standpoint, GM, owner, president, I'm thinking about it. I do not want to keep a player who does not want to be here, because that just means that I'm not going to get the it could mean that I'm not going to get the high top tier player that one I need for this team, and two that I'm expecting, and three that I'm paying. I'm not to pay you for no BS. So I just feel like the Cowboys have just went wrong with this. I feel like they went wrong with this. Same way I felt as though when they were doing the thing with Dak and CeeDee Lamb, how they just waited for so long, so long, so long. But remember, I said they do this sometimes. They play it out because then it's going to be Captain Save Up. Okay, so I think that they're going to work it out. I think that something's going to be done, but I also think that the stinks or the stench, I don't know where I just got that previous word from. Just make that up. The stench from this whole situation, I definitely think is going to continue to play a piece and play a part into Micah's performance and his attitude towards being in this organization, in this franchise. And I think that that was just the wrong thing to do when you have players that you really, really need, essentially. And I even did the same thing with Zach Martin, because I remember I reported on the Zach Martin thing. But when you have these key players, like, it's really just, in my opinion, important to just go ahead and get the deals done. Because once the deals are done and out the way, that's one less thing you have to worry about, one less thing you have to be in the media about. But I seen a video today and it was like, we're tired of talking about the Dallas Cowboys. We're tired of hearing about the Dallas Cowboys. But unfortunately, that's just how it is. The Dallas Cowboys are just one of those teams where if you talk about them, they're going to listen. People want to hear about it because people love them so much and then people hate them so much. So it's one of those teams where no matter what you say, no matter how you bring it up, no matter how many times you talk about them, one, they're always going to have something that is going to be talked about. Always. They always have something. Always have something. During the off season, really, it was the cheerleaders, and getting the cheerleaders talked about and their pay raise and their, monies and whatever. Then you have the documentary series that's coming out, and now you got the contract negotiations things. So like the Dallas Cowboys are consistently in the news and in the know, and that's just something that really that their marketing department and their PR department has really an upper hand on, because they know how to keep them in front of people. They know how to keep people they know how to keep people talking about them. They know how to, write and create the narratives and spin the narratives and all those things. So unfortunately, you gotta get over it. When they were talking about the Chiefs so much, y'all cried about that. Y'all cried about the Chiefs being talked about so much. They stopped talking about the Chiefs and went back to the Cowboys, and now y'all crying about the Cowboys. They cry about the Eagles. They talk about the Eagles. Y'all cry about the Eagles so much. Like, is it not football? We're going to talk about it, okay? Some teams just don't do enough to be talked about in the media as much as other teams do, and that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate, but that's just the way that it is. You kind of got to get over it, okay? Just get over it a little bit, okay? Now, I almost looked at I'm like, the time, because I do got somewhere to go, so I can't be on here talking all day. Y'all know I'm chatty Cathy and I can get to talking. I can't do it. Not today. I do have somewhere else to go, somewhere else to be. But of course, I have to talk about. Next on my list, I'm actually going in reverse because I was supposed to talk about that last, but it's okay. Next on the list is none other than our brother, Travis Hunter. Okay. We're not talking about the wife. I don't know why we talk about her, but we're not talking about her, right? We're talking about Travi. So, I have kind of like a scoop, some tea, right? But Travis Hunter, as you know, is playing with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they say he looks great. They said that he's looking good and that he's playing on both sides of the ball. And that information that we didn't already know. We already knew that that's why Jacksonville, did the end up, y'all, spent all their prime real estate. Didn't really fix their problem, if you ask me, because secondary is really the problem over there. But they got Travis Hunter because, of course, everyone's like, that's the best choice. You make that choice. Okay. Right? And it was kind of like, how could you leave Travis Hunter on the board? Now, I've been doing a lot of searching and just trying to do some research to really understand why I was seeing some of this negative feedback when it comes to him. It is not necessarily of his performance per se, but it's the fact that Jacksonville kind of put themselves in a position to where They did not really fix all of their key holes that they should have fixed in the offseason. But it's kind of like you got to wait and see, because maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But right now, Travis Hunter is coming in as wide receiver 2 and cornerback 4, right? So, there has been speculation that actually Travis Hunter was more of a third round, cornerback, and maybe kind of second round wide receiver. They really weren't sure if they were actually going to let him do what he's going to be doing and playing on both sides of the ball. Right now, he's looking more of being in the position to where they really need him. They're gonna need him on both sides of the ball, but they also drafted another wide receiver. So I feel like they didn't really per se see him being a wide receiver because they drafted another one. So if you're gonna draft this one first round, then boom, this should be your wide receiver 1. But you also have to understand they have great talent over there already on the offensive line. So it would make sense if he's moving into wide receiver 2. Now him coming in as cornerback 4 is a little bit surprising. Now, this is just the depth charts, and these are things that I've saw. I'm not saying this is like actual, and this is what it's going to be, because we have to still wait and see. We have a lot more to cover and a lot more to see before we get there. But right now, he's coming in as cornerback 4, and it's looking like that. And you may be asking, well, why is that? Well, one, yes, he is athletic. He has speed and all these things, but he's not fast enough to cover those receivers out there on the field. He's not. He's doing great. He's playing great, right? But if you just take the little fish out of the pond and just put him one-on-one, essentially he's not really fast enough to be covering the receivers there. So it's kind of like, okay, well, we probably going to have to make him be a receiver. And this sounds like it's not making sense, but in order to guard a receiver, you have to be, I feel like your cornerback has to be better than your wide receiver on your team, if that makes sense. And I don't feel like he's better as a corner in this makeup, just the makeup that the Jacksonville Jaguars have going on right now, which is why he's cornerback 4 currently. He could switch it up, right? But again, Jacksonville had things that they needed to fix that they didn't quite hit the nail on the head right away. Everybody said that they won the. I even said, I said, they did really good in the draft. They won the draft because they got Travis Hunter. That's why they won in the draft. But if you're looking at them winning the draft overall as a team, they didn't win. They didn't really win there. They still have a lot of things to make up on their team. And let me see here, because let me see. Let me see. I've been trying to figure out. Okay. Yes, he's gonna play. Like he's gonna play, right? He's gonna play. And obviously he's gonna start. I mean, why would he not start? He's gonna start. Okay. Okay, so because first I want to make sure I got it correct. So here, and this was, and again, everybody's news is very different, because some people say, he named starting wide receiver and he's going to be second cornerback, and then on here you have other people saying that he's going to be a second string cornerback. I know we look at Adam Scheffner. So, I mean, I don't know. Here, let me see. But also Brian Thomas Jr. That's what I was looking for. I'm looking for the man's name. To me, I think he played really, really well for Jacksonville. I think that he is a great wide receiver, and I think that he is eventually going to kind of be their lookout guy for him to be wide receiver 1, and Travis is going to probably be wide receiver 2. Obviously, right now Travis is listed as starting. He's going to start obviously in the preseason, and we're going to see how he's going to get. However, because they're going to try to play him on both sides of the ball, I do think that he kind of slides down. Brian slides up, Travis plays, and then when it's time for him to rotate on the other side of the ball, he comes in that way. So I kind of feel like the depth chart, the way it is, kind of works in his favor if he's going to play both sides of the ball, if that makes sense. That's just my rationale, me thinking about it in that way. But I feel like if he's going to be the wide receiver one, I don't see him getting as many reps as a cornerback. Obviously, and if he does, then you're going to be second string, backup third. Like, you're really not going to get as much because they're going to need you more as the wide receiver, if that makes sense. So I don't know. Maybe my brain is not calculating it together, and I need to further think about that thought there. But when it comes to, cornerback, as it says here, it says Tyson Campbell, Jaron Jones, then Travis Hunter. So he moved back, I guess, CB3, whatever. But I think that in order for that depth chart to work, in order for him to work on both sides of the ball, he cannot be the starter for both positions going in. That doesn't make sense to me. That don't make sense to me. I don't know. It may make sense to you, or chat. Tell me how you're seeing it. Like, not an argument type of thing. I don't want to argue with you because I'm not going to argue with you. But I would love to know your thoughts about this, because it needs to make sense to me in my head. Like, when I think about certain things, and of course, we've seen players play both sides of the ball before. This is not just a one-all be-all magical thing that's happening. But I feel like when it comes to that, one position is always going to take more preference over the other. And right now they're saying that his wide receiver skills are more prominent and more dominant than his cornerback skills. Some people think he's better as a cornerback. So yeah, let's just talk about it. Let me know what you think about that. Okay? Yeah, I spent too much time on it already. We're going to move on. I spent too much time, and I think I end up confusing myself. So we're just going to get on with it. This came out like couple minutes ago, and I got them up here, right? So of course, the Ravens fans, and I know you see me moving because I'm sitting on the floor, guys. I'm like so uncomfortable, but the Ravens fans were basically making fun of Aaron Rodgers because his tape, his practice ain't been looking that great. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. Practice have been looking a little bit okay. And then he comes out, he's like, you know what? I'm open and willing to play in the preseason. If Mike Tomlin tell me I need to get my ass out there, I'm getting out there. What else can I do? I think it's a good thing. Because he needs to get out there. I feel like I understand he is of this legendary status. He's, future Hall of Famer and all these things. I understand that. But based off what I have seen from when he was in New York, I need him to get out there. Just a little bit. If Russell Wilson could get out there, you can get out there. And you might be saying, well, what's the comparison of the two? The comparison of the two is, one, Aaron Rodgers to me is a little rusty. Just a little bit. He need to dust the rust off. Like, you put on your Iron Man suit and you going out there, you need to dust it off a little bit. If it's been hanging up in the closet for a couple months, I think you need to dust it off. So I think he needs to get out there and dust off the rust. I think he needs to get back in the field of really, really playing. I want to see how the Achilles is doing. I want to see how he's moving. I want to see how, how the speed is and all of the things. And yes, we know it's preseason, and preseason doesn't necessarily project to how you're going to be in the regular season, but it does allow people who are interested in a specific player to see how are we moving here? What is it looking like? What are we going to be getting some of it? Because I think when he was in New York and he really didn't play much or practice much or show up much, we kind of got that product, the same product on the field. If you're not doing something, you're not practicing something, you're not going to just magically go out there and be like, I still got it. You may still have it, but you need to practice as well. So I think this is great practice for him getting out there, especially if the practice film is not looking top tier into the best. Like, just get out there and just do it. Especially because there's really not a lot of options in Pittsburgh anyway. So not saying he needs to play the whole entire game and every preseason. Like, no. But you do need to get out there, knock some dust off, knock some rust off, throw some balls around, get back into the moves and the grooves, and really show the Pittsburgh fan base what you're going to be bringing, especially. I mean, I feel like that's only fair because he waited forever to sign anyway. So I mean, go out there and show what you got. Show what you got. Okay, use it as more forms of practice if you must, right? And get more comfortable in this new system and everything that you have going on. And I feel like it could be a turn of showing that he's not going to bring that same attitude and behavior from New York into Pittsburgh. So it's kind of like just taking a new leaf, turning things over, and just being, and maybe he's in a better place now too, so where he can go out there and just be better. Okay, better. In other news, I forgot to put their pictures up here, but Will Howard, the 6th round quarterback pick for Pittsburgh, has injured his hand. So, yeah. I would have suspected that for the QB rotation, it would have been, Will, Mason. Who was the other one? They always have like four. Well, I guess if it's only the three, it's only the three. But Will, Mason, and then Aaron, a little bit of Aaron. So I don't know. I don't, if his hand is injured, then at this point, I don't know. I feel like every day is something new with Pittsburgh over there. Every day is something new over there. But speaking of something new over there, Shedeur. Okay, so Shedeur is right now slated to make his start for the Cleveland Browns during their preseason game on Friday. So of course we're gonna be talking about it again on Friday. Okay, so obviously the depth chart came out and it was like, yeah, he's QB4. I mean, but if you think about it, the way that the Cleveland Browns depth chart looks is exactly of how they got the quarterbacks in. So Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriels, Shedeur Sanders. That's the way that the quarterbacks kind of came into the organization. Now here's the thing. Shedeur right now is looking like the main option because, and this, this is just what I've been seeing. Kenny Pickett has allegedly hurt his hand. I think that's what it is, his throwing hand, right? Shedeur had checking the words out. Shedeur had a shoulder sore or soreness in the shoulder. We're getting off the words. I can't pronounce it. Something wrong with his shoulder. It was sore, a little hurtness or whatever. And then Dylan Gabriels also had an injury or something going on with, I think it was his arm, his hand, or whatever. And Joe Flacco's old, so everything probably hurt on that man. And that's no Tito shade, okay? Because if I know that me sitting down here too long, my knees hurt, and I'm not even as old as him, I already know that him just like getting hit in the knees. His knees hurt. His legs hurt. He probably is just tired. But you know what? He still got it. He's still doing it. But he a little jacked up too. Okay? So right now, Shedeur is the less of the jacked up, injured, and they're like, you just go ahead and do it. Now, I can't say I did think, well, if Kenny's injured, so there's no start for Kenny in the preseason if he's injured, right? But how I thought it was going to be, I thought they were going to rotate through all of them. Maybe not as much as Joe Flacco. Maybe like the last preseason game, he would like come in or whatever. But Joe Flacco has gotten off the couch and came and saved the day. So he's not one of those people where you have to think about if he still got it or not. Okay? But I thought they were going to do like, run Kenny, doing it the same way of the depth chart. Run Kenny, run Gabriels, then Shedeur may get in like fourth quarter or whatever. And I thought that they were pretty much do that for the 3 preseason games, and that one closer to the start of the game, then whoever is leading the way of being the starter would probably be the one who probably plays the least. So I thought that was going to be really telltale. But if he is going to start off on Friday, can you guarantee that people are going to be watching that game? People don't care about the Cleveland Browns unless they're talking about Shedeur right now. We have to keep it a B. We got to keep it a B. For a long time, people care about the Cleveland Browns because, you had Nick Chubb over there, Miles Garrett is somebody that you still really much talk about because it's always been a thing of like just his like athleticism and just thing. And I really love that he's taking in and embracing Shedeur. I love seeing their little clips together, so that was cool. But like really, nobody is really checking for the Cleveland Browns like that, really, right? So they're going to get eyes on the game because if you're putting out that Shedeur is going to start, people are going to watch the game to see when is he going to play. Now the joke would be they're telling us that he's going to start, and then they start the game with somebody else, with Tyler Huntley. They signed him. They signed him because that's his name, right? Tyler Huntley. I know it's Huntley. But they signed him because all the other quarterbacks is jacked up. Okay? They jacked up. So not only did they have 4 already, somebody gonna release one, now you got a 5th. You got a 5th. Because your quarterbacks is jacked up. Okay? They're all just jacked up. So the gag would be, and the joke would be, they tell us that Shedeur's gonna start right, so everybody tune in. But they start Huntley. And they make you wait. And they make you wait. And they make you wait the same way they did the draft. They make you wait to see when Shedeur is going to hit the field because guess what? They know that the people are watching because they want to see this guy. They want to see him because, again, he's like the Dallas Cowboys. Because no matter if you love him or you hate him, you're watching. You're tuned in. You're there. Right? Because that's what works. That's what works. It's kind of like Nicki Minaj. Whether you love her or you hate her, you tuned in. So it's that star power, that star quality that he has. So people are going to be tuned in regardless until he plays. And people are going to have good things to say and people are going to have bad things to say. That's just the nature of the beast. So I wonder if that's what they're going to do. We're going to see what they do on Friday. We're going to see. We're going to see what y'all think they're going to do. Let me know what y'all think they're going to do. I think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be like Tyler Huntley going to come out and start, and then they're going to wait to bring out Shedeur to let him play. Or they're going to put him out there, and his first mistake, they're going to bench him. That's the 2 predictions that I got. Yeah, okay. I told myself this was going to be a very short show. How long have we been on here? 27 minutes. I guess it is kind of short, though. I didn't even do a couple, things. I only got like 3 more to go. So, I mean, it's a pretty short show, Okay. I feel like let me make him a little bit bigger. Hey, Kim. Yeah, Kim to the ward. Get into it. Now, Kim Ward, the number 1 overall pick for the draft this year. One of the least talked about number 1 overalls in like forever. Okay? I thought to myself today, I'm like, I was gathering my topics and I'm like, you know what? Where is Cam Ward? Where is Cam Ward? Why is nobody talking about Cam Ward right now? The only way I get Cam Ward news and updates is if I actually go into the Goog and type his name in. Otherwise, I don't really see him coming across my timeline like that. I don't really see him getting anything. Like the clout, the talks. I remember I got so sick of hearing about what is the gentleman's name? Caleb Williams. I got so sick of hearing about Caleb Williams. Because I felt like everything that I did was Caleb Williams. He painted his nose this color today. He said the Bears. He said this. He said that. He got new shades. Like, it was exhausting. Right? But you knew who he was. He got the attention. He got the news and everything. Shedeur is getting the treatment of a number 1 overall draft pick more than Cam Ward is getting. Even like people are talking about Travis Hunter, but not as much. Everybody is talking about Shedeur. Right? And I think that Cam Ward just has this likability about him to where it's very hard for you to say hateful mean things about him. So you just kind of like leave him alone. Because like I just said, whether people love him or hate him in terms of Shedeur, they're tuning in, they're watching, they have something to say. Somebody can see something that's very nice and they'll turn it and make it a negative, right? It's kind of like, I'm not gonna talk about political things, but if you know, it's kind of like that, right? And it's like, gosh, sometimes it can get very exhausting. Like, okay, we get it, you don't like the guy, or okay, we get it, you love the guy, right? But Kim Ward is not getting any of that, and I'm just really like in awe. And it kind of sucks for him. Well, it probably doesn't suck for him as much as we think that it does. Because if I'm thinking about it, right? That is a load of pressure and eyes that are they're on him, but they're not on him as much. If that makes sense, right? I feel like if I'm going back to Caleb Williams, or if I'm going back to Caleb Williams, he had so much on his back, his shoulders, his forehead. All the eyes were on him. And that first, the first game and his performance, second game performance, like the season performance. We don't hear about Caleb Williams now really much at all. I haven't heard about him all season. I don't know if he's injured, he's hurt. I don't know what's going on over there in Chicago. I haven't dragged Chicago all year yet. Okay. Right? So he no longer has that pressure and them eyes on him, and the media just, binoculars all up in his face. So he kind of gets to evolve and develop and grow into the player that he wants and needs to be without having to do it in front of all of the media and everything. And I think Caleb Williams at first thought he was going to love it, and I thought that he was feeding into the media, and I think that he thought that it was all going to work in his favor, like the Lil Wayne song, like it'll all work out. Not for him, right? The media kind of like would destroy him every chance they get, because that's what the media does, right? And Cam Ward right now doesn't have to have that heat of the media in his face, on his back, on his forehead, on his neck. He has some breathability over there to do great things in Tennessee. The GM is commending him on his hard work, his ethic, and how much he's grown over the course of the summer. The media that is covering him is just saying, like, they are commending him on how well he has, just this attitude. And he's always had a calmness about him, which is one thing that I really enjoyed watching him at Miami. He was always super calm, super chill. Like he was very grounded. He knows who he is. He does what he knows how to do best. And he just he lets the game speak for itself. Minus his couple bad games. But overall, he showed up as that person. And he's becoming an advanced version of that in Tennessee. And they're getting to see that. They're getting to see who he is without the media pressure on him. And like I said, they're loving him over there. He's doing what he needs to do. He's coming out as he's going to be the starting quarterback, and he said that he's ready. They're asking him, like, how did you get so much work ethic and everything? He's like, he commends his father for being a big staple in his life. He talks about how he gets up and he watches film, and he has to really, feed his knowledge with film, and really build what he knows off of just watching film, doing practice, really being dedicated to the craft. And I think that is quite amazing, and I just wish that he would get a little bit more positive media light, because I feel like he's not getting enough. We don't need he really, the kid does nothing for you to actually hate on. So the rage bait media, the media that likes to try to tear you down part media, it'll be really hard for them to find something to talk about this kid or this man where they can actually make it stick and make it something that's going to drag on for long and long and long and long, right? But I did want to highlight and talk about him because we're talking about all the other rookies. Like, besides Micah, I only talked about rookies right now coming in for this season. And I think that he's one of the rookies that is actually going to be one of those like silent killers. I think that he's going to show up and he's going to show you exactly who he is and why you should have been talking about him, why you should have been following his journey more closely, why you should have given him the more attention from the very beginning. And again, these are just my opinions, this is my predictions. And hey, and then at the end of the season, I may say something completely totally different. Okay? I will say, though, I was right about Caleb Williams. I will say that because I was right. I was right. And I know I'm not a huge, big sports media, person right now. But I just want to say in the archives, I was right. And usually when I study on something and I feel a certain way about something, I tend to be right because I know how to read the room. Okay? Now, go support Cam Ward. Okay? Now. Okay. Moving on. We are going to talk about a whole nother different sport now. We're going to go into the WNBA. So I'm going to talk about the WNBA very, very, very shortly. If you're following me on TikTok, I have made videos about the playoffs, how the playoffs is run, and how all those things work for the WNBA. So please go over there and check it out because I'm not going to give you the rundown and all be all for this right now. The playoffs are upon us. The playoffs are going to start September 14th. It's 3 days after the regular season starts. If you know what's going on. They only have 8 teams that actually make the playoffs out of the field of 13. I do want to read what they got coming up. Who are the current? So, like, if the season was to end today, these are the teams. Why do I keep picking up the same window? I wonder if I could put my... I got to figure out how to do that. How to put the video up on here. Because I know I can do it. I just have to figure out how to do it. Okay, but anywho, right now, so if the WNBA was to end right now, there would be obviously the teams that are going in, but number one coming in would be the Minnesota Lynx. For some reason, I can never ever say the word. That's like me with Cleveland Cavaliers. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. I just said it right. I make fun of myself on so many other shows. If you go ahead and watch, for some reason, for me saying Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't know what it was. And I don't really have a lisp or anything like that. So, like, I don't know. It just wasn't coming out. But Minnesota, the Lynx, that's what I'm going to say. They will be number one. And they will be playing. So let me just give you the numbers in order because I don't want to go number one, playing number 8. I don't know. So we have Minnesota Lynx number 1. You have the New York Liberty number 2. You have the Atlanta Dream at number 3. You have the Phoenix Mercury at number 4. You have the Indiana Fever at number 5. You have the Seattle Storm at number 6. You have the Las Vegas Aces at number 7. And then you have the Golden State Valkyries at number 8. So if you look at the bracket, the playoffs for them are kind of short. So they'll come in through that first round. So the first round, if it was to happen today, it's just a makeup if it was happening today. This is not what's going to happen. They still have a couple more weeks to see who's really going to top it out, who is really going to edge it out. And I'm going to talk about the Aces in a second. But if it was to end today, it would be Minnesota versus Golden State Valkyries. So that's number 1 versus number 8. Number 5 and 4, always the closest games. 5 and 4, 3 and 6 to me are always the closest games. So 5 and 4 would be Fever and Mercury. And then it'd be Dream and Storm. And then you would have the Aces versus the Liberty. The Liberty are the defending champions. So they're trying to get back to the fold, back to getting another championship back there to New York. Now, I wonder if the WNBA and if the fans and if everybody is ready to see a new face, to crown a new champion, to really swoosh up their marketing and to really, have a new face of the league, a new team face of the league, right? Because for a long time, it was the Las Vegas Aces. The Las Vegas Aces and Asia Wilson were just the team to beat. They were the team to, talk about. They were the team that everybody, was on because they were doing really, really great. They had seasons to where they were pulling out just greatness, like just greatness, right? So, excuse me. So now they're sitting at a position where they're number 7. They're not in the top 3. They're not the top three. Usually they were the top team. For the past couple of seasons, they were the number one team in this league. They were the team that, like I said, everybody was talking about. Everybody was marketing. The marketing over there is still very much genius, by the way. But everything, every focus was on Las Vegas. New York has been hovering at that number two spot for a long time now. And last year they finally got it all the way. And again, if you've been following me for a while, then you already know how I am and how I was already on the backs of New York and what they was doing. Again, love the New York Liberty, so I was on it, right? And now you see teams that were pretty much at the bottom, like the Atlanta Dream. They got a new head coach over there, and now they're in this top. They're being talked about. Still not, they're not number three, 1 through 3, but you're like, whoa, we're talking about the Dream, the Dream. Could it be because they got Brittany Griner? Could it be, or could it be the new head coach? Could it be just the new scheme and culture that they're bringing over there at the Dream? The Minnesota, and even the Storm. These are teams that were, not quite making it. I feel like the Lynx have come very, very far. I think they've been building something really immaculate over there. And now they finally got pieces that kind of fit the puzzle and fit the narrative and the mold that they're trying to build over there. And now you see they're sitting at the top of the league as of today, right? So like I said, we still have a couple more weeks to figure out where things go, but they are sitting at the top. Teams like the Indiana Fever, yes, they're in the conversation. They're in the talks. They're in there. But they are not doing as great as they were, in my opinion, projected to be, getting the Aaliyah Boston and then getting the Caitlin Clark and having their team be as, talked about and festered so much where they should have been within the top 3. They're not in the big 3. So teams that you would not be expecting, like the Minnesota Lynx sitting at the top of the league, is like, I don't know, is the WNBA ready to change the team that's the most talked about? Are they ready to change their marketing tactics to talk about teams that are not so... A lot of teams are very, and I don't mean controversial in a bad way, because sometimes controversy could be a good thing. But like the Chicago Sky, they're not up there right now, right? And they breed a lot of the W's marketing. They breed a lot of their attention. So I really think that it's going to be, I think a new champion is going to be crowned this year. I don't think that it'll be the Liberty. The only way that it could be the Liberty, I feel like, if they just out-edge it a little bit. But I think that there's going to be a team crowned, and I want to see how they incorporate that team now into the marketing and the spotlight of the W. Am I crazy to think this? Let me know. Let me know what you think about this, chat. Let me know. Let me know. Okay, and if you're not watching WNBA, you should. You should go watch it. It's very good. The women play with so much tenacity and fierceness and athleticism. Check it out. And don't just check out the Fever and, the Chicago Sky. Check out the other teams as well. See what they're doing. See what they have going on and what makes their team so great, especially this Minnesota team that's really sitting up at their seat. See what is going on with this Minnesota team that is so, so good. Right now, Minnesota is hot for both men's and women. I know that Anthony Edwards was not able to get the men all the way to the finals, but the fact of the matter is they have been a team that's been upbuilding for some time now, and I think they're working on something over there. Something special. Something real, real special is going on over there. So check it out, Don't hate, appreciate. Okay, my last topic, and then I'm getting off of here because I was supposed to be off of here. Okay, so ESPN has now taken over NFL Network. What is the other one? Hold on. We already know that Disney owns basically ESPN, and Hulu's wrapped up in that as well. And now they've taken it just says other media assets. Okay, so now they have acquired NFL Network and other media assets, and basically ESPN has a, I don't want to make this sound bad, because if ESPN was ever knock on my door and say that you want to work with us, I'm going to say absolutely yes. If Disney ever say you want to come and work, I'm going to say yes. So it's not a dig. It's not a dig, right? However, every time I feel that ESPN kind of takes over something, it ceases to be what it has been. NFL Network to me was something that was very different and very special. That was something that I would pay for extra. You know, I'm not paying for the, I told y'all don't pay for the red zone. I told y'all don't pay for the NFL ticket. I told y'all don't pay for none of those things. If y'all don't choose to listen to me, I don't know what to tell y'all. I did the research for y'all. I talked about how they was basically, you know, just taking your money and scamming you. I did another video on that. You can go check it out. But the NFL Network, I actually liked, because I like the fact that I could log on the NFL Network and I could watch NFL even when NFL was not even in season. I can go back to games that I previously wanted to talk about, or that I previously needed to see something and I couldn't do it, or I can go watch old Super Bowls and things like that. And you could probably watch that stuff everywhere else, but for me, like, I was keying into NFL Network. I personally like it because it's just NFL and network. So NFL does have a 10% stake now in ESPN, all those other things. So just basically colliding assets and really divvying it up. I don't know who was, you know, running NFL Network and how all that thing was going on, but I did like it for its own things and own reasons. I also liked how I could go back and watch games that I had missed previously, because I was doing my show once a week, sometimes once every other week, so I had time to really study up on things. But now that ESPN is taking it over, I do not foresee it being the same that it was. I think they're going to probably squash it a little bit, or they're probably going to make it something completely, totally different, revamp it in a way that is probably just unrecognizable, and it's going to be like, wah, 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 you know, kind of take it away. So if you do have NFL Network, and you know, it's, the price is going to go up. I feel like the price is definitely going to go up. There's no way in the world that ESPN takes over and the price goes down. I don't see it going down. They are working on bundling other sports programming with ESPN. Well, Disney is working, because, you know, Disney is the umbrella, the hub for all of this. Okay, so Disney owns everybody. And this is why you see people like Shannon Sharpe getting fired after what he did, because Disney gave him a slap on the wrist the first time he made the mistake. And the second time it was just like, nah, dog, this is not looking good. This is not looking good. This is not a part of the Disney way. And Disney has a way. And it's not a bad way at all, but Disney has a way. And it's like, kind of like what Mike Tomlin would say, the standard is the standard. Disney has a standard. Disney has a way. And at the end of the day, if you don't fit into that mold, you gotta go. So now with Disney taking over even more space in the sports world, it's going to look very, very different. The way that things are going to go is going to be very, very different. And that just is what it is, because what can we do? We can't do anything about it. Okay? So they're going to try to get other sports programming in there to really bundle it in, and to create more bundle scenarios where they're selling you more stuff. They're selling you more bundles. They're taking more of your money. That's just what it's going to be. Okay? And they're getting ready for their streaming launch, guys. They're doing it. And right here, the I should put up this graphic. The graphic says all of ESPN all in one place. You know it's going to be pricey. All of ESPN in one place? Pricey. All I can think about is money. Cha-ching. Cha-ching. They're going to get their money. They're getting their money. And you know what I do hope, though, that comes from this? I hope that more opportunities come from the bundling of the services, for more sports programming and things. I do hope that opens up the door for other things, other people, and hopefully, I don't know. I really hope that it can really open the door for other people and other programs to get on here, and we get a variety. I feel like if we're going to pay for something like ESPN Plus, right? So a lot of people pay for ESPN Plus currently, because you get like the UFC fights and things on there. You get a lot of the college games and a lot of the college programming you get on there if you have ESPN Plus. Even when you do and you go and read certain articles are locked under ESPN Plus. So what do? You pay for it. So I feel like they're going to take that up. So I feel like if you're going to pay for something, you should have access and accessibility to more of what you're going to get to really counterbalance this price that you're trying to get me to pay. But again, that's just my opinion on it, and I really am. I'm waiting to see exactly what they do. I would love if ESPN could get like a like women's. They have ESPNW, but I mean like take it even like a step further. You know, have a program for women that are trying to get into the space and have their programming or something. Even if it's just only like accessible on the app. Like obviously you don't have to put it on TV, but there's just so many things that I felt they could do to really not only cater to a new modern audience, but also keep their current audience that they have and really just expand it in both places. But that's just me and my marketing bring. And you know, I don't know, maybe they'll give me a job, child. Who knows? But thank you guys for tuning in for the show. I really hope that you liked today's show. Tomorrow I'll probably be in the same spot giving you the same thing, talking about it because you know it's Thursday Throwdown and we got some things to talk about. So please make sure you are liking, sharing, and subscribing on all social media platforms at PG Love Sports. You can type in Pretty Girls Love Sports, especially on YouTube. If you want to support this channel, I really do appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting me. And no matter what way you do, there is the Cash App, or the Cash App's over here. Wherever it is at. I know it's mirrors. Here. It's over here at Pretty Girl, or cash sign Pretty Girl Des B, if you want to support and give to the cause for me constantly being on here and giving you guys all the good things. As I always say, thank you so much, and I will see y'all